Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I am Aaron St. Dennis. You can find me on, pretty much everywhere, at FF Mad Scientist. Above me, we've got Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05, and way up. Jesse, put your arms up so it looks like I'm reaching all the way up. All the way up there, we have Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel. Welcome to the fantasy football universe. I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, but we're off to a great start. Today, we are here doing, I don't think I've done this since last year. We're going to do a tier maker here, doing redraft quarterback tiers. We've got it set up. I guess we'll set some parameters. I set by default elite, great, good, average, and bad. So any changes you think we need to add here? Do I need to add a category? Are we good with those? Or
off my board completely?
Yeah, I like that one.
That was bad.
Usable.
The two of the moon tiers, what I'm talking about. Have a little fun.
I have it set up where it's only 32 of them, so it's the 32 starters. I did this for each position where it's just the presumed one at each one. So like I said, we'll get to a few spots where I believe I have Russell Wilson. We'll consider that just Steelers generic quarterback. You know, we get to the Raiders. Just I put Gardner in there. Consider it generic Raiders starter. So we'll just kind of wing it from there. So if you want to see any of our written content, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. I think the last thing we had out, we've got a couple more of the rookie profiles coming out every day. We've got an IDP green dot helmet series there for the play callers. That's one of the underknown or lesser known strategies. You know, there's everyone's got their favorite strategy for super flex and regular leagues, you know, bully tight end or zero RB, but there's not really a draft strategies for IDP. So the one we kind of just been winging is the green dot, where that's your play caller. That's it's typically a linebacker. That's the guy who's on the field most, and that's who we've been targeting. So head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com to check that out. I guess let's get into it. My theory is I have them here. How do we want to do it? Do we want to start at the elite tier and just pick the guys we want and go from top tier to bottom? Or do we want to start with the first guy and just go from there? How do you guys want to do it?
Yeah, let's mix it around. Let's start from, who's that? Aaron Ayahuasca Rodgers. Let's start with him.
Yes. Okay. So I guess with the way we talk this out is we each vote, and then we'll see if we can get a consensus of where we think he goes. So where do you guys want to start here? Aaron Rodgers, where's he going?
I'd put him in good. That's where my initial thought process is good. Like I have him at QB 19, so FYI, that's where I have him. So I would put him right in the middle of the road. Like you could make the case on average if you really want, but I think if he has a good season, he could pop up into the great. I don't think you're gonna get an elite from him this year. So I think he's gonna sit in the middle ground.
I'm good with good as well. I think he'll get there on touchdowns. I don't think the yardage is going to necessarily be there for him for what we were used to, and they're going to lean heavily on Breece Hall. That said, he's going to be able to move that offense, and they're going to be in scoring, in the red zone a ton. So, I think good is right where he goes. He's also my QB 19.
I am also good with good, but unlike you guys, I was not smart enough to bring up my QB rankings in advance. I'm going to check them now. I suspect I'm somewhere in the same range.
I was like, no, I'm not going to be able to do this about it.
Exactly.
I have him at 20, so haha, you guys are too high on him. This is the only thing I hate about tiermaker.com. They don't allow for labels, so you get here. We did this last year. I think one of you guys were on my show when we did the rookies, and I'm going, what the fuck is that? It took me a second. I'm going blue shirt. I'm like, I think that's Anthony Richardson next. Confirmed? Yes?
Yes, that's him.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
where do we want Richardson? I'm debating. I think he's great for me.
To the top. I'm putting him in elite. Like for fantasy. Are we going fantasy production, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, then I'm throwing him in elite. Like it's all about if he plays the full season. But if you guys want to put him good, that's fine. But like for fantasy points per game, like he's going to be top 6.
No, I had him great, not elite. I think for me, elite was top 3 to 5. I have him closer to, let me look. I think he's 6 to 10. Oh no, I have him at 5. So I guess I'm good either way. What do you think, John?
I have him at 7. So I would give him great. I think part of that you're baking in a couple games lost to injury, perhaps. But part of that for me is just the fact that I think they're really going to try to make him throw a bit more. He needs to develop there. But if I look at the guys ahead of him, it's mostly rushing quarterbacks and then 2 elite passers of the football. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I have him in great as well. Like I said, I had him 5th overall. For me, I think there's only he's the last one. He's the bridge. kind of, because I have 4 in the elite tier, and I think he's the bridge where he's great for now. Had he completed an entire season of what he was doing, he might have been able to get into the elite. Actually, he's probably QB6 for me. I think I'm going to move him down because I have Stroud above him. And I think Stroud for me is the bridge one because Stroud, I think I had as great. We'll get into it, but he's one where I could really make the case for elite. Someone who will not be in the elite category. Where do we want Baker Mayfield? Come on, let's be realistic. Baker's not going in elite.
No, it's either average or good. Like he's in that tier where a lot of those middling quarterbacks. Like I think he's fine, but we've heard the reports they're trying to add more to his plate this year, a more complex offense. I don't know how that's going to go for him, so I'm kind of curious. So, like, you could put him in average, and I would be fine with that. But if you want to go good, like, I get it because he has weapons. It's a good offense. Like, I understand all that. So, it's up to you guys what you want to do with that one.
Where do you have him?
I'm at 23. So,
Aaron, where do you have him?
23.
23.
Roman average.
21. Watch out. 21.
Way too high on him.
I think the issue is Dave Canales is no longer there, right? They're turning over. They still have the weapons. Gardner's going back in the slot. There's a lot of good things happening in Tampa, but I don't think we're going to get the Baker QB, 8 finish. I mean, he finished ridiculously high last season. I think at 6 point he was, or what was it, points per game? He was pretty high, wasn't
16. He was at 16.7. Like, he was the same points per game as Tua. It's not that great. Like, it's fine. So, yeah, it was like a middling QB 15, 16 performance last year. So that's kind of where he's at.
I mean, who would you prefer, Aaron Rodgers or Baker Mayfield?
Rodgers. Like, I've seen the ceiling from Rodgers. I'll chase that, even though he's injured. Like, personally, I know that Rodgers can give you way more touchdowns than Baker Mayfield has ever. Like, that's the whole thing with Rodgers. Like, so that's the difference between me. But if you want to put him in the same tier, like, that's fine. I got no issues.
He's average for me.
He's average for me too. I think you're right. The problem A is that Dave Canales isn't there anymore, but the problem for Baker Mayfield will mostly be that Baker Mayfield is still there. So
yeah,
that's the problem for Baker Mayfield.
Mayfield is still Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's the problem. So average it is for me as well. Next up we have Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have him as my QB 33.
31.
Like, the thing with Bo Nix is he's going to give you rushing. So, is it going to shock me if he outscores Baker for Mayfield on points per game basis? No, because he rushes. So, like, that's the whole thing with him. I'll put him in average, but, like, you could put him in bad, and I would not. It's just like when we're doing with these season-long rushing quarterbacks, like, I'm going to boost them a little higher because it's there. So that's why I would put Richardson above. But, yeah, like, if you guys want to put Nix in bad, like, that's totally fine. I hate the situation. I don't like the players around him. Like, it's not looking good. We need Jaleel McLaughlin for like 150 receptions this year. That's what we need. That's like,
I think I've got him in average. I think for me, I think the only ones I want in bads are the ones where I know, like Jacoby Brissett. I know if he starts, he's like a 12 points per game player. I think at least Bo Nix has enough potential where he should be the starter, and he's got a decent team here. I think I have him in average. That's fine. I think he's gonna at least be a 15 point per game quarterback, which I guess is average. It's not terrible. Like, it's not going to kill you, but I don't know. I think he's a 15 to 20 for me. What do you guys think?
I'm not going to fight you on that. I put him in bad just simply because I don't trust Sean Payton. He's going to be out of there in a couple of years. They're going to John Gruden him once they realize that he's just not able to turn this around. The amount of money they gave Payton, it's just clearly not worth it. Bo Nix will be fine, I think, long term, but in year one, no, he's going to struggle. He's bad. If you want to put him in average, that's fine, but he's better than Baker.
Well, you were bad. I was average. Jesse, what was your vote? You get the decision.
I'll put him in average just based on the rushing floor. Like, I'll throw him in there, but he's like the cutoff. Baker Mayfield was 19, by the way, last year on points per game basis. So, like, it's not great.
Baker or Nix ahead? Baker ahead, right?
Baker. I think he's a better quarterback. Yeah.
Easily.
You got a Purdy mouth. Where do we put this?
So Purdy was really good last year, and I don't see him falling below the great. Like, his points per game was like 19. He was up in the top 12. Like
QB6? QB6.
He was good last year. Like I'm gonna put him in the back end of that great tier, which is why I struggle with putting Richardson in the same tier because like the ceiling is insane with Richardson. But yeah, I'll put him in great tier. That's where I'm gonna have Purdy.
This one feels gross because based on last year's finish, I think you got to put him in great. But this just feels like an overrated career season, and this is destined to be good. Like I think he's good and just had a great season, but I'll give it to you. I'll give him great based on last year, but to have him and Anthony Richardson in the same tier feels fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, right? You're like, oh god.
To have him and Rodgers in the same tier also feels disgusting. So maybe I want to move Rodgers down here. I feel like he belongs in Baker.
Go ahead and put him in great, but I do think he belongs in good, so that's my vote. But yeah, he's kind of he's borderline on that tier bubble between great and good. It's just, the offense elevates him. He's fine. CMC should be getting more work on the ground, but he's just such a dynamic receiver. He's going to make a lot of those Purdy checkdowns as he already has, along with Debo and Kittle and all these other yak monsters, Ayuk. They're going to make him great. So, yeah, that's fine.
See, this is where I want
he's had back-to-back seasons with a 7% touchdown rate. Like, that's absurd. So, like, it's that situation, right? Like, it's probably going to continue, but at some point, it's got to regress.
This is where I want to start creating a bridge here because I feel like Richardson should be right here, and then Purdy should be right here on the bridge. It feels gross to look and be like, because obviously Richardson is the top end of this tier, and Purdy is the bottom end of this tier, but that just feels gross. I'm kind of ashamed of us right now.
There's going to be a lot of guys in one of these tiers, totally, like when we're looking at this. But, oh god.
So now we have a tough one. Bryce Young. I don't want to put him in bad because I get it. He was bad last year, but I'm not completely out. I don't want to give up on any quarterback with this kind of pedigree after 1 year. I think for me, he's going in as average, but excuse me. I have him as QB. Where the fuck is 28? So I have him above Bo Nix.
Yeah, he's gonna be on that Baker career track is like what I expect, kind of like that's.
I think I have him right here for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's fine. I can live with that.
Yeah,
Canales to the rescue, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Canales and the weapons they brought in for him. The offensive line isn't much improved, but at least it's a little better. Hopefully, healthy as well. I think he's average, but above Bo Nix, but well behind Baker Mayfield.
Jesus, what a fucking terrible statement that is for an 1 overall pick. He's well behind Baker Mayfield.
It was a rough year one, man.
Has that general manager been fired yet?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield was also a number 1.
Yeah, I know.
They're both short, like they fit together. They're those are peas in a pod right there. Those two guys. Yeah, but I mean, they still got David Tepper doing stuff in Carolina. So until he gets out of there, who knows what's going to happen with them?
Not going to happen for a while.
Yeah.
All right. To continue on with the 101s, we got Caleb Williams.
Let's go.
Good. I was going to say bold to say good. It's just I think he's going to be good. I
have him here, right there.
Yeah, I have him right next to Purdy in my rankings, but like I'm just so much more sure of what I'm getting.
I feel like he's another one where he should be on the bridge. I think right here, right behind Purdy.
But like everything's setting up for him to smash. It's just like, maybe it doesn't happen in year one, and with like you're gonna count on a lot of touchdowns. So I think with Rodgers tier is totally fine in year one. Like that, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, no argument there. He's my QB 12. Purdy is 11. So
yeah, he's 13. I have Purdy 12, but it's back to back. I don't really care.
Here's a tough one for me, CJ Stroud, because he's on the elite to great bridge for me. I feel like I want him in the elite tier, but I think I need 1 more year out of him. So I think for me, he would go right here. But
it's just so hard, man. It's like for the way fantasy points are scored, it's so hard for him to be a truly elite. He needs a 40 touchdown season. That's what we're chasing from him. Maybe we get it in year 2, like everything's setting up, but I really don't want to bake that into my projection for what I'm looking for out of a player. So I would put him in the Richardson. Like Purdy, it wouldn't shock me to see him and Purdy be very close in like points per game at the end of the season. Like that's kind of what I expect from him. So I know I'm a little bit lower on him than you guys, so I'm gonna like be the party pooper here. But like I just don't know how we get to 25 points per game season with CJ Stroud.
No, but that's valid because everyone is high. Like where there's points where he's like Dynasty QB1 and he's awesome. He was QB 11 last year, and you'd never know it that he was 11 and Purdy was 6, based on their current dynasty values, where you would swear that he was QB1 and Purdy was 30. So
Yeah, I mean,
I still have him at the top of this tier, though.
That's fine.
He missed 2 games. He was a rookie. Like it took him, he had a couple of games of acclimation issues. Certainly week 1. So I'm not going to hold that QB 11 finish against him. He's my QB 3. Let's go, CJ Stroud. He's elite. He's one of the 2 guys. The other guy is, he's one of 3 guys. Patrick Mahomes is the obvious guy. But Jordan Love is my other guy. The guys who are more throwers than runners, who I boost up just because I think the situation's amazing. They've shown it, even though it's just kind of a 1-year sample. I believe in these guys. So for me, CJ Stroud belongs in that elite tier. But if you want to put him at the front of the great tier, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, like I have just give you some context. I have Richardson 3 spots above Stroud in my season long rankings. That's why I'm lower on Stroud. Like it's just how they score fantasy points, and he literally needs to throw like 700 times this year to reach that elite ceiling. And I don't know with Sloak if that's possible. It's like it could happen. Like he could absolutely have that blow up season in year 2, like we talk about with like year 2 guys that go for the MVP. Like this could be Stroud's year to do it. It's just that's asking him a lot from him. Like that takes a dramatic improvement in play calling and everything working out and the touchdowns. So it's just hard with him. But like I'm totally fine with having him top this tier. Like
I'm not asking it from him. He's just delivering it, right? Like
yeah,
I saw a take today that was pretty interesting that said like maybe it wasn't MHJ, maybe it was just CJ Stroud in Ohio. He was elevating him, right?
He just elevated Garrett Wilson, all these guys.
I mean,
yeah, no, I think he's gonna be awesome. It's just for the whole truly like difference making like win you fantasy league season type stuff. Like I don't see that in the card for Stroud. Maybe it happens. I don't know. But you could clip this and then I could get roasted next year if that happens.
Might do it.
Yeah. So do we have CJ ahead of Richardson for redraft, or do we want Richardson ahead?
I have him 4 spots ahead of A Rich.
Yeah, I'll default to you, Aaron.
Yeah, what do you got? You're the tiebreaker.
Who, me? I have CJ higher.
Then yeah, put him higher. That's fine.
Right.
2 to 1.
All right. Next up, we have Dak. Where are we going with Dak?
So Dak was incredible last year. Like I think he's probably going to regress towards the end of the season. What we saw because his points per game was ridiculous. But if I'm betting between Dak and Stroud, I'm taking Dak. Like I know the volume is there and everything like that. And Dak was awesome last year. And he put up 20.7 points per game. Like I just think Dak is the better passer at this point in his career than Stroud.
Oh, yeah.
Now Stroud can get there. I'm not saying he can't. But if I'm betting in a 1-year sample, I'm going to take the guy that is consistent. Like I know what I'm getting from Dak, and you're going to have these spike weeks and blow ups. So
QB3.
Yeah, they're just really close. Like, where's my ranking of Dak? I think I have Dak at 6 in my season long rankings, and I have Stroud 2 spots below. But it's the same tier. Like I have no problem with those guys. So I think he should be in that great tier.
Yeah.
Oh, I have Dak at 9, 1 spot ahead of Purdy at 10.
Yeah, Dak for me is at 10. I just think there's natural regression because that schedule was so sweet. Everything just kind of aligned for them as well. The back half of the year, but looking at a schedule this year, it's nothing that's like, screaming like, oh no, we're not terrified. And we know they haven't really done much to bolster the rushing attack there in Dallas. The offensive line might regress a little bit. I'm okay with putting him in great, but he's my QB 10. He's 1 spot above Purdy. So yeah, I'd put him in the back of the great tier.
Do we want him between Richardson and Purdy or after Purdy?
I have him right there.
I have him right here. Where do you have him, Jesse?
I'm not going to put him above Richardson, so I'll put him.
No. Do you have him between Richardson and Purdy or after Purdy?
Oh, I have him above Purdy. Yeah, I have him a little bit above.
We all have that. Yep.
Yeah,
okay, so that's where we got it. We have him 3rd in that tier then. Okay. Next up, we've got Danny Dimes. Good times.
Ooh.
Oh, this is tough.
Put him above Nix. Put him above Nix.
When's he ever do to you?
He'll be lucky to end up with Bo Nix, I think, sadly.
Do you want to put him in back? Like the whole thing is if he starts and he plays enough, he's going to give you rushing. Like this is the similar case with Bo Nix, except he has that injury clause where he might get benched. Like that is entirely possible where they take him out like they kind of did on a bad team and they just tank it towards the end of the year because they don't want to pay the injury, like the injury guarantee. So like I could see him being bad where he just sits halfway through the season, they're like 2-9 and they're like, all right, we're just not doing this with Danny Dimes. So entirely possible.
I do have Danny Jones at 27, so he's above Bryce Young for me. But yeah, he's in average and he's borderline bad. I think they just need him there for another year or two. Drew Lock, we know, isn't the answer, but I don't know that Drew Lock knows that Drew Lock's not the answer. So he's gonna do his best, But you're totally right. They might put him in toward the end of the season. I mean, the Giants are going to be horrible.
The Daniel Jones hate. I have him right here for me. Yeah. I have him at 24. The hate.
That's where I have him. 27.
That's my worry. Like if I knew he was starting all year, I'd have him above these guys because he's going to give you more points per game. But the fact is, like, there's serious uncertainty with him. We saw this with Russell Wilson last year. Like they were just like, "Nah, dude, you're not playing. We're going to bench you." Like we could see this again with the Giants because I mean they're not a good team. They got neighbors. That offense is a like they have some of the worst skill position players in the NFL. Like the tight end room, I know we were talking about Dynasty. It's not good. It's Bellinger, Theo Johnson. Like, I'm not happy with that tight end room. The running back room, Singletary's fine, but like Tyrone Tracy's a wide receiver comer. It's a rough situation for any player. It's particularly one that's not as good of a passer as Dan. Like, he's a bad passer too. So it's just like, it's rough. Like, I expect them to be one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Their top producing tight end on the season could be Waller.
Honestly, I don't mind Wandale as like the number 2 target here, and Hyatt for me showed flashes. I don't think he's amazing. But yeah, this has the Patriots of last season wide receiver core vibe to it. There's just nobody here.
Yeah, the weird thing with Neighbors is he played so much out of the slot. Like, I wonder how much that impacts Wandale. So, like, are they going to play him at X? Because they might have to. I mean, they have, Darius Slade and stuff like that. They could play him there downfield. It's just, I don't know. I'm curious. That's why I was so kind of confused why they took him instead of taking Rome to play the X. So I'm just curious to see how they play Neighbors and they run that. Because, Wandale can give you those cheap PPR, like, slot targets all day.
All right. That brings us to next up on the agenda, Captain Guyliner. Where do we put him? I think he's I think for me, he falls here. Maybe. I don't know. Let me look. He is in my rankings. He is 29, actually. So he is here.
The worst. Like, if you're starting Derek Carr, your season's cooked. I'll play that. Like, I want nothing to do with Derek Carr. Throw him in bad. I can't stand. Like, there's not a single player I can't stand more in fantasy than Derek Carr. The hatred I have for Derek Carr is so unreal. Like, I just can't stand this man. Like, I want no part of him. So you guys rank him wherever you want. I say put him in bad. I cannot say Derek Carr.
Come on. He belongs in average. Like, not good, but we know who he is and what he is. We've talked about the fact that New Orleans now has Clint Kubiak coming over. We talked about the fact that Olave is going to be featured. Kamara isn't done. Kendra Miller we have hope for. I mean, I think this offense as a whole is serviceable enough not to make Carr bad below Bo Nix level bad. I have him after Baker before Danny Jones. It's not a rousing endorsement here, but he's my QB 24.
I swear, though, if you look it up in the dictionary, is he not the definition of average? I feel like he's just the definition, like right there. You're going to get 15 points a game or whatever the hell it is.
Yep. The ceiling's
next up, the fan favorite. We have Bill Cosby of the Cleveland Browns. Where are we putting Cosby?
So he's the cutoff. I have him right above Baker and in between the Rodgers. So, like, you could put him at the back of good just because of how he scores fantasy points. Like, he's going to outscore those guys. That's just what he does. He's just a terrible human and he's struggled as far as like an NFL quarterback standard the last couple of years. So if you want to put him at the end of good, I'm good with that, or the beginning of average is fine. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, he's on the bubble. I have a 22 also, Aaron. He's right after Baker. Baker's my 21. But I agree with you. He's in the good to average just because he's going to find a way to make it work, especially with the fact that I don't think Nick Chubb is really going to be much of a factor. The Browns are going to have to pass it more than they'd like to.
So do we want him here or do we want him here? He's either just after Rodgers or either way he's in between these two.
Yeah, let's demote him. Let's leave him at the beginning of average. I think that's fine.
I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah, as bad as he was last year, he still gave you 15 points per game. So that's like his floor performance. So like I expect him to improve,
Next up, we've got us another rookie, Drake Maye. Where are we going with Drake Maye, gentlemen?
Drake May's bad. He's bad for fantasy this year. I think there's room to develop, but there's really nothing that he's going to be able to offer you. He probably won't start the season. Everyone there is either a rookie or just getting used to this new system. The coaching staff is completely overhauled. The defense is supposedly looking good, at least in the first day of camp here, of mini camp. So if the defense is good, they're not going to need him. Ramondre is getting all the hype. Drake Maye, I hope he doesn't start. As a Patriots fan, I hope he doesn't start for at least half the season, if not more, get him acclimated. So, yeah, I don't want anything to do with him in redraft this year. He's bad.
Yeah,
I have him 31 too, so he's either here or here for me at 31. You?
I have him above Knicks because he gives you the rushing as well, and he's just a better quarterback. Like,
I just don't think he's gonna play. I think he's a better quarterback. I just don't think he plays.
Yeah, when we're in this average tier, like I want guys who can give me a few weeks ceiling. So like my thing with Drake Maye is he probably plays towards the end of the year. I don't know when he's gonna take over. I know Jeremy, you're saying after the bye week. I'm curious to see when he takes over. Like, and I think the skill position players are better than we're giving them credit for. They got guys that fit. Pop Douglas is a certified NFL slot receiver. I like Polk, and I think the X wide receiver with like Bourne and Baker down the road, like they can form into something reliable. So I don't think it's as dreaded as everybody makes it out to be. So like I would definitely take him over Derek Carr because I don't want to play Derek Carr. Like I'm going to check the upside that Drake Maye does with his rushing. So I would have him in that tier with Daniel Jones and those guys because similar bet. I just think the situation in New England is better than the situation with the Giants. So like I prefer Drake Maye over Daniel Jones because I don't want to deal with that just awful situation in New York.
I think I have him in bad though myself.
So that's fine.
Like I said, I have him ranked one ahead of Bo Nix. I just don't think he plays. I think Bo Nix could be 7 games in before Drake Maye sees the field.
Yeah, I have him at 24. Like I have him right next to Russell and Justin Fields and those guys.
32.
Oh, that is rough.
It's not happening this year.
All right, next up, Gardner Minshew. This could also be, let's just call this Raiders quarterback. I went with Minshew. It could be Rod Favre. I don't know. Either way, I think this is, what do I have? I have him at 32. So I think personally he's right here because I think, I don't know. I think he gets the first crack, but I don't think he finishes the season as a starter. So for me, this is bad. He's in the same category as Drake Maye, except I think he might be after Drake Maye because I think Maye's probably a better quarterback. But where do you guys?
Yeah, like Minshew gave you 12 points per game last year. That's Desmond Ridder territory. Like, and that was in a good situation with like one of the best play callers in the NFL. Like they were moving pace and doing everything to make him good. Like for fantasy production, he's not going to give you anything. So yeah, he's in the bad. If you're starting him, hopefully it's a streamer. Because outside of that, like you're just like I'm losing points in the position if I'm playing Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and the coaching staff has come out and basically said, it's been leaked that they want AOC to take this job over. I think that works well for kind of future development. If he doesn't, they're totally going to have to go back to the well next year. They probably should anyway. But yeah, I have Aiden O'Connell as 30 and Minshew as 33 because I think they're going to try and push O'Connell over Minshew. We know what Minshew is, right? He's fine, but he's not going to do anything for this team for its long-term development. But this team is dead in the water for its long-term development on offense anyway. I mean, Adams is, decrepitly old. At least they have Bowers there. But yeah, Myers isn't there for long. So they're going to have to turn it over soon anyway. So yeah, whoever it is, they're bad.
Yeah.
With that wonderful transition of decrepitly old, we will go to Geno Smith.
Good, baby. Give me a good quarterback. We got one finally, Geno. I'm putting him in that top of like right with Caleb. I have him above Rodgers in my ranking, so he's right between Caleb and Rodgers. And it wouldn't shock me to see him like this. Might be hot take, but I can see him. I can see him outscoring both Caleb and Rodgers this year.
Where do you have him ranked? I have him 21st, one after Rodgers. I
have him at 17, right with Trevor Lawrence. Like
I have it going to Rodgers, Deshaun, 1, 2, 3 in a row.
Oh yeah, I'm putting him above those guys. Like I think the situation, everything's setting up for him to have a much better, like a lot closer to 2022 than 2023. Like that's kind of what I'm expecting from him. So yeah, he's right in there. And yeah, you have him at 15, Jeremy.
15 between Matthew Stafford ahead of him and Justin Herbert behind him. Geno Smith.
Are we good with him here between Rodgers and Caleb, or?
Yeah, that's fine. I have him 5 spots ahead of Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah, I'm good with that spot right there.
All right, we might have someone here to fill in the only unfilled tier here. We have Jalen Hurts
to the moon,
going elite.
Yeah. Like he's one of the guys and it's just like, yep, you know what you're getting out of him. He's gonna be a top 5 quarterback, like worst case. So yeah, we're just rolling with him.
He'll be a top 5. I have him at 5. I have CJ Stroud ahead of him, but only because I think he regresses slightly on his production because Saquon is there now. They have a legit goal line back. Other than that, yeah, I'm fine with him at the end of the elite tier. he's a guy that you can rely on for sure.
Next one, Jared Goff. I believe I have him at he's the bridge for me between great and good. I think I have him right here between Caleb and Geno. Let me check. I have him at 15. So right between, I have Caleb, him, Herbert, Lawrence, and then the rest of this group here. So
I have him one spot below Purdy. I have him at 14, 15. I have him 15. So I have Purdy 14. I have him at 15. So if you want to put him at the back end of great, like, dude, they have so many home games. Like, he could absolutely smash this year. But I think at the beginning, top of good is probably the best spot for him personally.
Yeah. Yep. I'm the same. I have him right where you slotted him in, and I'm good with him for good. I think there's a lot of weapons there, but they still have a good run game. And I think with Detroit, the defense isn't good, but it's getting better. We saw what they did in the draft. So it's possible anyway that defense hits and those corners help in year one. And then that, leaves less of a need to pass the football, but we'll see. He's good, if not great.
All right.
So that's his point on him. Like, I was gonna have that question. Like, why does it matter if we're doing season-long rankings? Like, that question I really could care less about. Like, would he be great in that situation? No, he would not be good in Vegas. Like, that's just not what Brock Purdy is. So I think, like, if we're looking at, you got to take situation in context. Brock Purdy has the best situation in the NFL, so he's going to get a boost. But I think he's a good NFL quarterback on top of it, too. Like, I don't think he's a bad quarterback.
Next up, we have the one I think I'm going to be the highest on here. We have Jayden Daniels. For me, I think you guys are going to have him between Caleb and Goff. For me, I have him right here.
Yeah, I'm at 12. I actually have him above those guys.
Do you? Okay. Yeah, I have him at 12 too. You're right. I have him right here, but wherever you guys want him.
Where do you want to put him, Jeremy?
He's ranked too low for me right now. He's my QB 20.
You're right. He's ranked too low for you.
I know that's too low. So I need to figure out where to put him. He will start right away. He will start every game. He should stay healthy. He just doesn't have the weapons. I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury. This Washington defense at least is atrocious. So he's going to have to throw the ball. But we know Jayden Daniels is a much better runner of the football than a thrower. He needs to be moved up for me, but I'm not ready to put him in great. I think he's just good.
Yeah, I think JJ is the one that said it best. It's like quarterbacks who have 300 pass attempts and they got 5 points per game from rushing, which we should expect from Jayden Daniels. And they're in their NFL like rookies. The lowest was 17 points per game. That was Josh Allen his rookie year, and he was an abysmal passer. He was god awful. Yeah, I think, like, to your point, like, Terry McLaurin's good. The rest of the guys I'm TBD on. Like, I'm not a big fan of Jahan Dotson, the other guys on that offense. Like, and then the running back situation, who knows what's going on with Eckler? Maybe Brian Robinson can take that forward. But, like, I don't think the situation's as good as we expected it, but it's strictly like the rushing with Daniels. That's going to give him a high floor. If he needs to hit the ceiling, the pass has got to be there. I don't think he's going to give it the elite. I think it's just very high floor for him this year.
Are we leaving him at the end of great or the beginning of good?
I put him in great just based on the rushing.
I'm okay with that, but I need to figure out where I'm going to slot him in. He'll probably be QB 14, 15. I got to push a few guys down.
I think you need to take a long look at yourself in the mirror, my friend.
They got a McCaffrey. Hey, that's all you need. You get a McCaffrey, baby. It's to the moon. You see what the CMC does.
Not bad.
Doing good things.
Next up, we have JJ, the best JJ. McCarthy. I have him at QB. Where the fuck? 26. I have him right around. I think I have him as the last one in good tier. Maybe. Yeah, I have him right around here. Where do you guys have him?
I struggle with JJ the most because I don't know when he's going to play, first off. Like, it's similar to Drake Maye. The thing about him is he's sneaky athletic. People don't talk about this. The dude could move and he can scramble when he needs to. He just really doesn't run a lot. So if he does take a step forward, runs a lot more, I'll have more confidence with him because points per game basis. But, like, it's a really good situation. The offense, the play call, everything's set up for him to be good when he starts. I just don't know when he's taking over. So I'm fine if you want to put him in good. I would probably have him in the beginning of, like, the top tier of average, but it's similar to Sean Watson case. I think, like, I could make the case for either or both of those guys.
Yeah, I'm the same. I would put him between. I have him between Baker and Danny Jones. He's, he should start most of the games this year. Who knows what's going to happen with him? But yeah, he's just going to be fine in year one. He's going to need some time. I like him as a player, love him long term. Year one, I think he's going to just, feel those rookie struggles a little bit.
Aaron, where would
I'm
you
much higher. I love him long time.
Yeah,
Unlike
you can-
you, who love him long term. I love him long time. He is higher. I'll give it to you guys. I'll put him in the average tier, but I had him between Geno and Rodgers for me.
That's fine. Yeah, you put him above Baker. I don't want him below Baker. Put him above Baker. Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking.
No chance.
That's just me. Next up, we have one that's polarizing. Joe Burrow. For me, I think I have him right here between Dak and Purdy. Yeah. You guys will either be way higher or way lower. Actually, I have him at 7, so I have him above Dak is where I have him. I have him right here.
Yeah, I have him at 10, right below Jordan Love. But it's the same bet with Dak, him, Purdy. It's these really good quarterbacks and good offenses that, like, we've seen them consistently produce. The thing with Burrow is he's been better throughout his career. Last year, obviously, all the injuries, the offense was a disaster. So, like, we kind of have to wipe away what happened last year. So I think people are sleeping on him, but like he's not going to drop below the top 12, I don't think, unless it's another injury or something like that. And I know people worry about his wrist, but like injury doctors are saying like it's nothing to worry about. So like we kind of have to treat him as healthy. So I'm fine renting that tier wherever you want to slide him. I'm just not going to put him over Richardson just because of how Richardson scores fantasy points. Like I have much more confidence in Richardson hitting the ceiling than I do Burrow. I think Burrow is that back end QB1 for the next few years.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So Richardson ends my personal tier 2. Tier 3 is Burrow, then Love, then Dak, then Purdy, right? They're all there, like you said, and there's a reason they're there. They don't have the rushing upside. They have to get there on passing volume, and they've shown that they might not be as elite, able to hit that elite tier. So, yeah, I have them exactly where Aaron put them.
Next up, Jordan Love. What do we got? I have him at QB 11, so I have him right here after Purdy, before Jayden Daniels. How about you guys?
I'm at
you guys
10.
Have him higher.
Yeah, I have him a little bit above Purdy, but yeah, it's the same. Like we're talking about with Burrow and Dak. Like I like grouping those 3 guys and even Purdy. Like I like grouping all those guys together because it's a very similar bet you're making with these quarterbacks. Yeah. Not a lot of rushing, really good pass, and we saw Jordan Love at the end of the last season. He was one of the best passers in the NFL. Like he was fantastic. So. I mean, I don't know why that would change. The offense is very similar. Another same year, the same play call. Everything's kind of working out. So he can hit right on touchdowns, and he could push higher into like what CJ Stroud's giving you. Like that wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, I have him below, between Dak above Dak. So let's at least move him up between Dak and Purdy, just to split the difference between all our 3 rankings. But yeah, he's right there in that group.
All righty. Here we go. Josh Allen.
The wild horse, baby.
Yeah.
Top 2 and not 2.
Oh, he's 2. He's 2 for me, baby. He's 2 for me. Yeah. I think there's again, we talked about this with Hurts. Obviously, they're elite players with elite fantasy production. He takes a slight hit for me because of the fact that Stephon Diggs is gone, Gabe Davis is gone. Davis wasn't a world beater, but it's not like they did much to address replacing those guys. They're going to kind of rely on whoever is already on the team. Ray Davis is there. I don't really know what they're going to do on this offense. I just think they're going to be a worse offense overall. That being said, this guy's a monster. He's still going to score fantasy points. He's my QB2. So, like, he's just, for me, I don't think he's going to be QB1, but he's QB2.
Yeah. He's had 24 points per game or better the last 4 seasons. Like, this guy's just ridiculous. I can't question it. I'm just like, yeah, Josh Allen's a stud. That's all I got to say.
He's my QB2, but Hurts isn't my QB1, so I put him at the top for now.
Yeah.
Agree.
Who do we got next? We have Herbie. Herbie doesn't like to make toys. Okay, Justin Herbert. Sorry.
I have him right with Daniels.
Cotton-headed Nitty Muggins.
Goddamn right. Sorry, I believe I have him right here.
Yeah, that's fine. I have him at QB 11, but if you guys want to drop him into good, I'm fine with that. I just think he's such a good quarterback. Like, I think we're kind of.
I have him at 14.
The situation was so ass last year, man. It's going to get better. That's my whole issue. Is like, they were awful last year. So, personally, like, I think he should be with those Purdys and Loves and those guys. But if you guys want to put him in good, like, I get it because
I could argue putting him as high as right here.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me. Yeah, I'm fine anywhere in those tiers.
Where do you want Jeremy?
No, we got to move him down. I mean, there's no Keenan Allen. I mean, I don't care about Mike Williams. I don't care about, but there's no Keenan Allen. And we're moving from a pass first system to a run first system. The Chargers defense isn't good, so that's helpful. I think Purdy does better than kind of where people are valuing him right now. But that said, like, I'm not prepared to put him over Geno Smith. I'm not prepared to put him over Matt Stafford, who we haven't talked about yet. I'm not prepared to put him over Jared Goff. So for me, I bump him down to the good tier.
You are low on him this year. Like, I think he's going to, like, I maybe like surprise people, but I'd be shocked if he falls outside top 15. Like, he's just such a good quarterback, and the way I see it this year is his efficiency is going to massively rise. So that's the way I'm laying on him, because they're setting him up for success, which they have not done the last few years. The Kellen Moore offense was a disaster. So they got actually fast players, which is something they had in years, like they could use. So I think Ladd McConkey, he replaces Keenan Allen, does a lot what Keenan Allen does. He just more explosive version of him. And then the other players in that offense kind of fall into their pieces a little bit better. And I don't think Josh Palmer's a wide receiver. I think he's a fine NFL wide receiver.
No, but like you just said, Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen in the same sentence. I'm sorry, but like, no, like that's not going to happen. Like, Ladd will be fed, I think, but he's not good. He's not going to be able to do what Keenan was able to do.
Where you got him
Captain
there?
Kirk Cousins. I have him at
back-to-back with Rodgers.
I have him at 19. I have him one ahead of Rodgers.
Yeah, put him with Rodgers. It's eerily similar to both these guys' situations, right? I just think the pieces around him are a little bit better, just because the overall, like, it's not just Garrett Wilson, it's not just Breece Hall. They have a little extra piece there in Atlanta, but it's a very similar bet like you're making with these two guys coming off of Achilles injuries, both old. Like, we need to see a little bit, so that's why I have him right with Rodgers. I think it's whoever you prefer. But like, Cousins has been a freaking stud, and last year he was on like a career pace. Like, he was doing incredible stuff in that offense. Now it's a new scheme, but they bring over Robinson, who's Rams disciple, Deshaun McVay. So I think the offense will be fine. Like, I'm not that worried as long as he's healthy, but it's just a health bet with him.
Yeah, totally agree. He's one in front of Rodgers for me as well. He's got the weapons, which is great. I think the issue, like you're saying, is just the age, how he's going to look at the beginning of the season, just kind of acclimating now from the injury and everything he's dealing with, and getting used to his new weapons and the scheme. But I think all of those things will be just fine for him. The issue is, does he have that high-end upside as a quarterback anymore? No chance. And we know he was never mobile, and now he's especially immobile. So
he's a statue. Yeah.
All right. Next up, Kyler Murray, and I should preface this as I have him as QB8 between Burrow and Dak, but this is Kyler Murray before the new Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah, I have him at QB7, so I would
after that comes out, all bets are off. He's off my board. He's
QB1 the first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and if I split him in half and put after Call of Duty, Kyler Murray goes right here.
Yeah, before QB Call of Duty, he's before Burrow, those guys, and then he falls down to the Daddy Dimes range after the Call of Duty.
Yeah. Kyler's my QB6 ahead of Anthony Richardson. He belongs in good, but I just think that it's all set up for him this year to smash. I think he stays healthy. They're going to have to find a third weapon in that offense. I don't know if they start using Trey Benson more. I don't know if Michael Wilson steps up. I don't know if Greg Dortch is the answer. I doubt it. But they need a third weapon in that offense. Thankfully, Kyler Murray can run for 1,000 yards if he wanted to. I think it's just going to depend on everything that scheme will allow him to do. And he's a good thrower of the football. So yeah, he's 6 for me.
All right. We will get to my QB1, Lamar Jackson. So the answer for me is obviously right here. I assume right here. Anyways, you guys are going to have him here, I think, but
I have him actually lower. We haven't seen this. We haven't seen the true ceiling from Lamar since his MVP season. He's been in that 20 to 22 points per game. Like, even last year, he was the MVP, but his points per game were not that great. So personally, I have him in the great to the beginning of great tier. Like, I think the bet with him and Anthony Richardson's very similar. And it honestly is not going to shock me if Anthony Richardson outscores Lamar Jackson this year. That might be a hot take for people, but like, Lamar doesn't rush around the goal line, and this is the biggest issue with Lamar. Like, he doesn't rush for touchdowns. Like, he only had 4 last year, and when they get to the goal line, they don't give it to him. He scores it from deeper, like 10, 15, 20-yard rushes. That's how he scores his rushing touchdowns. So, like that, I just worry about that. Like, I think he's an extremely high floor player. I'm not worried about Lamar. If you want to put him in the elite tier, go for it. I just think Like the points per game, like I don't see him being the record setter he was back in 2019. Like I think that kind of time has passed him. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they shift the offense, but like
you know how much room he's going to have when they actually have to honor Derrick Henry in the backfield instead of J.K. Dobbins or whoever. They're going to stack the box to defeat Henry, and then he's just going to take off on these. It's going to be RPO with him running the ball every time, and 9 guys going after Derrick Henry is what I think.
Yeah, I mean they've kind of already had that, right, with the rushing yards before contact. They've led the NFL the last 4 years with like what their offensive line does. Like they've had that with their running backs, so they've had to honor it, and those running backs have been super efficient already. I think Henry's a little bit better, and I agree with you on that. Like it could boost him a little bit. I just don't know. Like this is all touchdown related. Like this is how you become Josh Allen. You need 40 plus touchdowns. Like I don't know how Lamar gets there. That's my whole issue. If you can tell me he gets there with 40 touchdowns, then yeah, throw him above like Josh Allen. I'm all aboard with that.
Yeah, I hear that. The one issue I have with Lamar Jackson for fantasy is the fact that Baltimore refuses to build competent wide receiver core around him, right? Zay Flowers, I think they got lucky with, even though they took him, I think it was the first round, right? First rounder last year. Mark Andrews, if he can stay healthy, great. There's just no third weapon in the passing game. He really needs that at the moment. It's Nelson Aguilar. He really could use a third weapon. They could utilize Isaiah Likely better, but certainly that run game is going to be phenomenal. So I'm with Aaron. He's my QB4, and I have him above Jalen Hurts this year.
I think SC makes a really good point. If he had the wide receiver room that Hurts had, yeah, like those weapons are a lot better. And you also have Saquon Barkley, who's a very good NFL running back. Like there wouldn't be a huge drop off from Henry to Saquon. I think it's very similar. And then you get those weapons. Yeah, like that's the whole situation. Like you're asking Lamar to kind of do everything. And the problem with him in doing that is he doesn't get the goal line looks. So like you take Josh Allen and you're like, guess what? You don't get the goal line looks. Like how does that affect Josh Allen? That brings his points per game and all that stuff down. So that's my issue with Lamar. Like they need to give it to him. He's just kind of smaller. And I think that's why they refuse to give it to him with the goal line.
Next up, Stat Padford. Matt Stafford, I mean. Sorry. Freudian slip.
Stat Padford. Love it.
I have him at 18. Right here for me.
Yeah, he's in that range for me too. I know, Jeremy, you're higher on him, right?
Yeah, I have him just above Geno. I just think with a healthy Cooper Kupp, I'm not incredibly high on Cooper Kupp. I think we're all in agreement that Puka's the guy there now. But Stafford is just still a monster. He showed no signs of decline last year. He's paired up with Sean McVay, and Demarcus Robinson came on. I think he's going to be a legitimate target for Stafford. And again, not for fantasy for those guys, but for Stafford himself. He's my QB 14 between Goff and Geno.
Yeah, it's touchdowns with a lot of these guys. And he only had 24 passing touchdowns last year. Compare that to his 2021 season where he had 41 passing touchdowns. Like his stats were up to 20 points per game. This line, he fell dramatically the last couple years because he's not getting touchdowns. So he needs a Brock Purdy-esque like 7% touchdown rate this year to get there to be the truly elite passer you want. But I think he's in that range with Geno and those guys. I think that's it's basically pick your poison of whichever of those quarterbacks you want to take. They're all really good passers.
Yep.
Next, Patrick Mahomes.
Elite.
Really, you think?
Yeah.
I have him at 3. Where do you guys have him?
Number 1.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm good with number 1 as well.
Yeah. That's a vibe. I love it. Like the vibes are so strong. We're like that. You don't got to worry about it.
He's just going to be able to spread it around like he's always been able to do. And last year he just couldn't, right? The offense was super limited. They still won a Super Bowl. The defense takes a hit with L'Jarius Sneed leaving town. So they're really going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. And Travis Kelce, as good as he is, they're trying to preserve him. So I think Mahomes is just going to be able to spread it around. That offense is going to be clicking in the passing game, and he's going to approach those 50 TDs we know he's capable of.
Beautiful. Yeah, like it's everything setting up, like you're saying. Last year was like the bottom barrel what we're going to see from Mahomes in production, just because they asked him to be a dink and dunk quarterback because that's what they had, and it worked. And he was able to do that. So he gave you 18 points per game. That's the floor. With Mahomes, we could see him pushing that truly elite tier this year with the decisions and how they orchestrate that offense. So yeah, I'm all aboard it. I love Mahomes.
Insert Steelers quarterback here.
It's going to be Russ. I mean,
to start, I don't know for how long.
If it's Fields, this season just went off the rails for them. What they want. I don't think Russ is cooked, but I don't think Russ is cooking either. Where do I even have him? I have to scroll 28. I think Fields gets a couple of looks, but it'll probably be later in the season, either via injury or the fact that they are, 2 or 3 games left in the season, and they're now eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah. So Russ and Jared Goff had almost the exact same points per game last year. And if you would have told me that without looking at the stat, I'd go, you're a freaking liar. There's no way. It's like, no, he was 17.7 and 17.8 for Goff. So like the way Russ scores, he's always been an efficient touchdown passer. Like that's what he's done his entire career. He did it again last year. So we'll see if it happens again. But yeah, like anywhere in the Deshaun, I think him and Deshaun Watson are similar. I have them back to back. I have him right with Baker, I think, too. He's my QB 23. Yeah. It goes Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson in my rankings. It's just,
I have him between Carr and Knicks at 20, right? 30. I have him between Carr and Knicks.
Yeah, I just don't think Fields is that good of a quarterback, and that's my issue. So, like, I think Russ has to be really bad, and he was bad last year, so, like, it's possible. So I probably should drop him a little bit, but we know Tomlin loves his veterans, and if Russ, like he's already talked about, like, if he
so where are we putting him?
That's fine. You can put him anywhere in that average tier. I'm fine with that. However you want to slide him, it's no big deal to me.
Trevor Lawrence, where to? I think I have him. Let me check. 15, maybe? Nope, 17. So I have him one below Justin Herbert. I'm right here. Yep. Nope, right here. Somewhere around here. There you go.
Yeah, I have him below Goff, but it's the same bet. I have him at QB 17. I have Goff at 15. Geno's at 16. Similar guys. Like the thing with Lawrence is we saw how bad it was last year, the touchdowns, like all the missed touchdowns he had. So he could bounce back with that situation, but man, it's the Jacksonville. They do a terrible job of setting these guys up for success. So like we kind of need to see it. Like, yeah, like that's the thing like Ryan's talking about. I think that set him back similar to like we're talking about with why am I blanking on his name? The Panthers quarterback, Bryce Young. Similar situation like that, just ruined him. He's been good. I think of the quarterbacks, like in that range of the Genos and those guys, I think he's the one guy that could be truly elite. Like if he hits right, it's just we kind of need to see it. So I have him at the top of those guys with Caleb. Like that's fine with me.
Yeah, I have him at the back end of that. So it's he's below Stafford, Geno, and Herbert for me, but above Cousins. I mean, I just don't see it for him. Again, he can develop into it, but we trust in Peterson from an offensive perspective. We trust in T-Law, at least from a skill perspective. The thing is he's just not really doing a ton with his legs. We know that's a part of his game, but he's just not utilizing it nearly enough. And I think he needs to kind of see the field a bit more. He needs to get a bit more time, and the running game isn't doing him any favors. So we'll see if that improves. But based on what they did in this offseason, which was practically nothing, that won't improve. And I think T-Law just stays mired as what do we have him as good as a middle of the road good quarterback.
Yeah, he's been just touchdown unlucky in his career.
Yeah. Second last guy, we have Tua tag not going to work here anymore, whatever the hell it is.
Tua. He's going to lead the league in passing. We're going to hate him again.
I actually have him half ranked high. I'm not going to lie. I have him ranked right here after talking all that shit, but still.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Like you kind of know what you're getting out to. The situation's great. That's the difference between him and Lawrence is like I think Lawrence is a better passer, but his situation is perfect for production. You have Hill, you have Waddle. That's really all you need. Oh yeah, by the way, you have one of the most explosive rushers we've seen in the past like decade, Devon Achane. You have Mostert 20. Like everything is set up, and they had Jonnu Smith. I think he helps them underneath and in the middle. Like we'll see with the slot guys what they do. But yeah, I think like Tua it's ugly to draft Tua. But you're getting a high floor. Like, you're going to get like at least 17, 15 points per game with this potential, if he hits the touchdowns right, to be higher.
I can't do it with Tua. I think it's the same with Carr. He's like that guy for me. I just can't. Like, I know there were injuries, that he sustained before he came into the league. I know he had those concussion issues. I know his situation is phenomenal this year. And I can't. He's below Trevor for me. He's below Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. I just can't. Like, I know the yards are going to be there. But, Raheem Mostert scored 18 touchdowns on the ground for a reason last year. We don't want to be handling Tua in the red zone and letting him kind of mess it up when we're in scoring position. For me, I want to be handing the ball off inside the 5, inside the 10, and pounding it in. We know Tyreek is going to do it for him. We know Achane and Wright and whoever else Short are going to do it for him. Waddle, of course. But, I can't with Tua.
Yeah, they were third in touchdowns per game last year. So like if the touchdowns regress for the quarterback, like we see that kind of year over year, a couple years that happens with Rodgers. He had one of the highest touchdowns, and then the year after that in Green Bay, they went a lot to the running backs. So if it shifts back to Tua, which entirely it's possible on offense, that's where the upside comes from. But yeah, like I get it. Like it's gross betting on Tua because it's a lot of situation based. But I think he's a solid NFL quarterback. It's just even solid NFL quarterbacks can have a really good season. Like that's the thing with him. So I'm fine putting him there. I don't mind it.
Mayo in your coffee, anyone? Will Levis closes it out for us. I have him right between Young and Guyliner.
Yeah,
Nuts.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Put him right with
I know it's exciting, but we got to talk about him.
Yeah. Woohoo, Tennessee. Can you tell me what that offense is going to look like? Because I don't know what the hell Tennessee's doing. Like, I am so confused. They're just building old dudes. They're like, hey, guess what? Tyler Boyd, we need another 30-plus wide receiver. Come on down. We have a first-round wide receiver we don't want to use. And I'm like, all right, you guys, I don't know what y'all doing. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting with that offense, I guess you could say. Like, they revamped the offensive line a little bit. It's set up for him with DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. Like, it's solid. Like, you have a yak tight end. Like, they have players in that offense that could do things. Like, Tajay Spears is efficient. Pollard should be good. Like, you could talk yourself into the situation. It's just the bet needs to be on Will Levis, and I don't think Will Levis is a good NFL quarterback. That's my entire case against Levis. I just don't think he's a good NFL quarterback. So I would much rather invest in the other guys in that tier of average we have than Will Levis. But the situation isn't bad. Like, their defense is still pretty trash. Like, it should be like shootout situations, right? So, like, it should build for him to actually be, like, producing a lot of points. I like you were talking about earlier, like, I just can't do it with Levis. Like, I just don't think he's a good NFL quarterback. That's my biggest takeaway. And I probably need to not be so harsh on him, but that's where I'm at.
The situation is phenomenal, though, right? As bad as I think Will Levis is, I've taken a few shots on him this offseason, especially in startup leagues, because he's in a division with Houston and Indianapolis, and even Jacksonville. As much trash as we talk, they've been able to put up some points. So, like, their defense is the worst defense in the league. I don't see how, maybe their talent from a couple of guys that they have there puts them as like defense number 30, but you can lock them in as a bottom 5 defense this season for sure. They're going to need to pass the ball, but I don't know. That offense is just a whole mess of mid at the moment. And Will Levis is the middiest mid of the mid there. It's looking bad for him. So, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope that he can produce. I'm kind of betting on it in a few places with a very small bet, but yeah, he belongs right where you put him.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap this up, so we're going to do this in reverse. Now that we've put the people in the tiers, let's name the tiers. I think this one is God tier. Are we good with that?
I like it. Yes.
God tier. All right, what are we going to name this group of gentlemen here?
Whatever the like half human, half gods are. I can't remember the name of it.
You
know what I'm talking about?
I should know this. Yeah.
Whatever Hercules is. I can't remember. It's going to bother me.
Demigods?
Yeah, demigods. Yeah, that works.
Sure. Demigod. Demigod. Next up, we have these interesting gentlemen. Thoughts? Scary as fuck.
I think the next one's scary as fuck. These guys are like, I don't know. Like, you feel...
No, the next one is barf. This is barf.
I'd feel okay walking away with that middle tier, like as my QB1 in some redraft league. So I'm okay with those guys. But if you want to put them as just YOLO, like it could work out or could crumble.
YOLO, there you go. YOLO. That's it. We're going YOLO. I've named the next tier barf. And this tier, fired. I think we can affectionately name fuck these guys.
Yeah, you're fucked.
You're fucked. You're fucked. That works. You're fucked.
Poor guys. I'm sorry, fellas. It's just not good.
Get some lube. All right, we're good.
Oh gosh.
There we go. Those are our tiers. That's a wrap.
Lovely. That's a win right there, folks.
Oh, Jeremy quit, did he? All right.
I can't do this anymore. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, SC.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com for all of our written content. Check back tomorrow. I think we're doing running back tiers. We may try and sneak in an SFB mock draft tomorrow night at some point, depending on everyone's schedule. We'll see how it goes. But thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day.